Hello there, and welcome to the Trending Now podcast for a Friday, June the 16th, 2023. Louie, Butko here with you. Thanks for checking us out however you found us. Make sure to like and subscribe so you never miss an episode. Of course, Trending Now you can catch every Monday to Friday, 7 p.m. on CHCH and online at chch.com and on the Trending Now YouTube page as well. And as always, it has been a busy week, especially in the world of sports, and that's where we're going to start. Where on Monday, talking about it on the show because it happened on Sunday, but on Sunday, it was the miracle putt heard from sea to sea to sea.
Left the flag stick in with the maple leaf flag. Good pace. Are you serious? Oh my goodness! Glorious and free!
Nick Taylor from Abbotsford, British Columbia, brought the crowd to its feet at the Oakdale Golf and Country Club in Toronto as he drained a playoff putt from a different area code. Taylor defeated England's Tommy Fleetwood, who was in search of his first career PGA Tour victory. That'll have to wait. On the fourth playoff hole, after the two finished Sunday's fourth round tied at 17 under, Taylor became the first Canadian to win since Pat Fletcher in 1954 and the first Canadian-born player to win since Carl Keffer way back in 1914. The win also getting some buzz online for fellow pro-Canadian golfer Adam Hadwin, receiving a bone-crushing tackle from security who mistook him as a fan as Hadwin tried to celebrate with Taylor.
We're storming the 18th green now. They just tackled Adam Hadwin, by the way, who was trying to approach his friend. Security did, not knowing that's exactly who it was. But Canada has a conquering hero.
But Hadwin changing his Twitter profile picture to a screenshot from the tackle, calling it a Canadian heritage moment. That was one big story this week. The other couple of big stories in the sports world this week involved some championships. And normally I'm introduced on Fridays as the Trending Now sports reporter, but I have to hand that title over this week to Manisa Danabalan, who's with me now. Trending Now sports reporter.
Trending Now sports reporter?
Can you put that on your resume now? Like sports reporter background?
Totally. Yeah,
you were all over it. First of all, you are unless it's on Fridays, in which, I'm here on Fridays to do sports stories. You usually get the big sports stories. You were off on Monday, so Matt Ingram filled in, had that Nick Taylor story, but you were on the championship beat this week.
I really was. We went from NBA to Stanley Cup.
Yeah.
So it's been a pretty nice week.
I'm going to correct you on that. The Stanley Cup was first, right?
No, the NBA was first. Yeah, it was. That was Monday night.
What was Monday night?
NBA Finals. Yeah, I was.
Are you sure? That was Monday night? I don't know.
That was Monday night because that was my story on Tuesday.
All right,
and
I'm going to take your word on it.
I did.
Listen, I said it was a busy week. Okay, I opened the show with it was a busy week.
Hold on. You're Louie Butko, who does sports.
I do sports
and
on weekends.
You got this wrong?
I do sports on weekends.
Whoa.
I do sports on weekends and sometimes for Bubba during the week. So I don't watch sports during the week. I only watch sports for my job.
And you didn't know that the NBA... I'm joking.
I actually don't know. Okay, so the Stanley Cup, the NBA Finals. NBA Finals was cool because it had a really nice Canadian connection. Jamal Murray.
Yes.
Kitchener.
Yeah, and then it was like a long and I don't know how to explain it.
Yeah, it was their first championship.
He was really emotional.
Jamal. Yeah. So the story about him is he tore his ACL 2 years ago, didn't play at all last season, didn't play a single game, and then came back this year and had just a fantastic season. Of course, Nikola Jokic, he was the story. He was dominating. He played such good basketball, and he was hilarious, too. I know some of the clips that you had in your story. He just wanted to go home.
Yeah, he just wanted to. He didn't even care. His expression where he's like, when's the parade? Yeah. And they were like, oh, Thursday. He's like, no. It was so funny.
I saw the clip last night where he was, because the parade, they had the parade yesterday. And so, parade, the Toronto one, same idea. It's just constant drinking from 10 a.m. all along the parade route. People are throwing them beers. They're drinking champagne. Plus, they're still on that high from winning the championship. I saw Nikola Jokic yesterday saying, like, I don't want the parade to end, and I want to do this again.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah. So he was pretty excited about it. So NBA Finals, we got a champion. Stanley Cup Finals, we got a champion as well.
Yeah, and okay, can we talk about one thing? So
that's what we're doing. That's the idea of the podcast.
Thanks, Louie. Thanks.
Sorry. I mean, there's no camera. I mean, there's cameras on us, but they're not on. But we're just talking. That's the idea of the podcast.
Yeah, there is no cameras on us right now.
I know. Well, apparently it is because the red light's on.
And nobody wants to see you.
Okay.
I'm joking.
My name's Dana Ballin, everybody. Thanks for coming on the show. I appreciate it.
Are you serious?
No. What were you saying about the Stanley Cup?
You know how they lift up the cup?
Yeah.
And what is that? Like, what is it, 34 pounds?
Yep.
And then they just like skate around. None of them fell.
They're professional hockey players. What? They're like... Do you ever see them fall regularly?
Yes.
Okay,
when you're
like
watching a game, they fall all the time.
They don't fall. They get hit and they're knocked down.
Yeah. And like, you know when he made, what is it? When I think it was Mark Stone made his first goal. They did like the angle from like the top.
Yeah.
So then you literally see this one guy like fall and then he like flips over and he falls again. And it just looks so painful. But none of them fell when they were holding that big 34-pound trophy.
How are you on skates?
Terrible.
Me too. I'm not a great skater. I can skate. I can stay up. I can't stop.
When I'm like,
it's my great secret shame as a Canadian is that I'm not a good skater. Like not.
I thought you played hockey.
No. I've never played hockey growing up. My theory is because I was one of 6 kids. I just assumed, like, as the oldest boy, my dad realized and like looked at the cost of hockey and was like, well, if I have to put him in, so I'm going to keep him in cheap sports like soccer and baseball. That's my theory anyway. I also think like he didn't want to teach me how to skate, which is why I've never like really learned. But it's my great secret shame is that I'm not a great skater.
My biggest shame is I can't swim.
Can't swim?
Nope. Well, I can't swim. When I go to beaches,
you've told me. I like. Do you get like a floaty? Are you like afraid of the water?
Water wings don't work for me. Like,
like a life jacket. I like that you immediately went to water wings.
Because the last time I tried it was when I was a kid.
Not like a life jacket or a noodle or
I never
like
went into the
pool
water
noodles.
like that when I grew.
Yeah.
Like now that I'm an adult, like I went with water wings when I was a kid and I almost drowned and I never did it again.
Wow.
So now I always just like wet my feet at the shore. I don't really get into the water that much. Yeah.
Okay, interesting.
Because I tried to get on this floaty thing one time and then I don't know what happened, but I think it like deflated or something or flipped over and then I went plunging into the water.
Wow.
So after that,
traumatic
it's like,
experience prevented
just a little
you from...
bit, you know, thought I was going to die just a little bit.
Wow. I said I had a question for you.
Yeah.
This is very personal for me. And this is my podcast, so I could ask this question. I found a gray hair the other day.
Oh, no.
And it was just kind of like in brushing my hair, and it was only one. And like the first day I saw it, I tried to pull it out, but I couldn't.
You're not supposed to pull those out.
Why not?
Because I have like 2, actually. I have 2 random gray hairs just chilling. And apparently those are good luck.
Yeah, if you pull them. If you pluck them, it's good luck.
No, apparently.
Okay, so should I be looking for more, or should I just embrace it? That's my question.
Embrace it.
Really?
Yeah.
Because I'm like, if I see another one, I feel like I'm going to want to pull it again. Like, just like take it out.
You already pulled it?
Yeah.
You're not supposed to.
Now
you're going to see another one because you pulled it out. If you pull it out, you get more.
If I keep pulling the same one, you don't get more. That's an old wives' tale.
They say it's good luck to have one. I mean, that's probably a tale too.
I don't know.
I got 2.
2.
Well, yeah, like
okay.
2. Like, and they're like
and you're younger
kind
than
of
me.
close.
And you're young. Okay.
Yeah,
Whew.
just 2.
All right. Okay.
Are you afraid of aging? Is that what this is?
I'm terrified.
Why is everyone so afraid of it? No.
Are you not?
No.
You're ready to embrace it. You're like all in.
Like I didn't care to be a kid.
I didn't care to be a kid.
So the more I'm an adult, it gets nicer.
I didn't care to be a child. Like just like 12-year-old Manise being like, I'm done with this.
I mean, come on.
I'm done
when
with
you
these
were a
toys.
kid, you wanted to be an adult.
Yeah, but now that I'm an adult, I'm like, well, this isn't that great.
I don't want to go back to being a kid though. It's not as great as you expected, obviously.
I'd go back 10 years. I'd go back to redo my 20s. For like various reasons.
I forgot,
I'd go back and redo
we're not
my
the same
20s.
age.
Yeah,
Because I was that was like 10 years.
Yeah.
No.
I would be like 12. Yeah.
No, actually, I would have been 16.
Okay, you didn't have to finish it. You didn't have to finish the
You
sentence.
said 12. I'm making you feel better.
Barely making me feel better.
You put this on yourself, Louie.
I know I did. Big plans for the weekend.
Yeah, we're cleaning the basement and the garage.
I said big plans for the weekend.
Yeah, big plans. It's cleaning.
Like I was expecting something fun. Is this fun for you? Like, are you?
Yeah, this is fun for me. After almost like burning half my hand off because of the not half my hand, just like actually a portion of my thumb. Almost.
How?
There's like this like our drain in the tub is like really clogged, and like it always gets clogged. We all have long hair. Relax.
Okay. Yeah, I believe it. All right.
So,
just really off topic from where we started on the sports,
no,
but
we were
it's my podcast, so I can do what I want. So,
basically, long story short, it's a very acidic substance that we poured, and basically, I didn't even know. Like, I held it by the spout. And it actually went through the glove.
It says on the bottle.
I didn't realize I was like, because I just
read
opened
the
it.
Instructions.
I did. That's why I wore like big, thick rubber gloves, and it actually burnt through it.
Oh.
But my thumb's fine. We're okay.
And how does this tie together with having to clean the basement?
Oh, because we're starting to clean a lot of stuff. And just thought of it.
Starting to clean. I would hate to see what the Dana Ballin household looks like before this weekend. Oh my God,
it is so clean because my dad is a neat freak.
Okay, so then what do you need to clean?
There's a lot of clutter in the basement.
A lot of clutter. Speak into the microphone. Do you know podcast work?
Sorry.
There you go.
Sorry, I moved.
All right. It's a very Friday mood around here. Manisa Dana Ballin, I appreciate you being on the show today. I'm glad we started with sports because we got like serious stuff to get to. So I'm glad we got the light stuff out of the way.
Well,
all right. Thanks for doing this, Manisa.
Thanks for hearing my acid story. Take care.
Thank you. And my thanks to Manisa Dana Ballin for joining me to start off the show on a little bit of a lighter note because the rest of the week, it got serious, especially with this Paul Bernardo stuff. You may have been seeing it the last few weeks here on Trending Now, but Canada's most notorious killer, Paul Bernardo, was quietly transferred from a maximum security prison in Ontario to a medium security facility last month in Quebec. Now, at the time, Canada's Public Safety Minister, Marco Mendicino, expressed his shock. But we now know that Correctional Services Canada emailed Mendicino's office twice before Bernardo's transfer date, advising his staff that the high-profile killer would be moved. The first email was sent on March 2nd, and then another the week the move happened on May 25th. Now, it's been 30 years, but Canadians have not forgotten the horrific crimes of the couple dubbed the Ken and Barbie Killers. That's Paul Bernardo and his wife, Karla Homolka. Now, Bernardo raped at least 14 women. He killed 14-year-old Leslie Mahaffey and 15-year-old Kristen French. One of his victims was his wife's own sister, Tammy Homolka, who the couple drugged and raped. Now, Karla Homolka was given a lighter sentence than her husband after a controversial plea bargain and was released from prison in 2005. But this case is so appalling, after all this time, politicians are still talking about the schoolgirl killer and are outraged that he gets to enjoy more freedoms in a medium security prison. Now, whether Mendicino knew about the transfer ahead of time or not, Correctional Services Canada says the transfer of inmates is up to the correctional service and not the minister or his office. Nonetheless, the transfer is being reviewed. And earlier this week, Kelly was joined by criminal defense attorney Ari Goldkind and asked him what he made of Minister Mendicino's office knowing about Bernardo's transfer months before it happened.
Well, what we know right now, as of us speaking, is that he's saying his office knew, but they didn't tell him. Pierre Poilievre certainly doesn't accept that, called him a liar today, which is a strong accusation. I think there's going to be a bit of a scandal brewing here. And about a week and a half ago, I went on air and said, I think Marco Mendicino knows more about this than he's letting on with that I'm outraged letter asking for an explanation. And I said very openly that the idea that the jail would move Paul Bernardo, Canada's most notorious killer, without somebody in the public safety minister's office at least knowing about it is not something I believe and not something I accept. And now we know that his office knew way back in March, but somehow with Canada's most notorious person, they didn't tell their boss. I have a real problem accepting that.
What is the difference between a maximum and a medium security prison, and why would a serial killer be transferred to a less secure facility?
So there's a number of moving parts here. First of all, somebody's classification can be changed. They're not an escape risk. There may be better programming somewhere. They may need his bunk at Millhaven because of the rash of crime that we're all talking about now in our cities. The real problem that's led to this is the lack of transparency, the lack of sunlight that corrections services has had to explain to Canadians. And there can be good reason to move somebody. I know everybody says, let's have them do hard time. I understand that. But the problem here is that Canadians were told that Paul Bernardo's rights to privacy about his move trumped the French Mahaffey or the public's right to know. That's a bunch of bunk. The legislation itself says in exceptional circumstances, the public can be told something that overrides Paul Bernardo's privacy. And if there was ever an example of exceptional circumstances, can you think of somebody more exceptionally horrible than Paul Bernardo?
And going off of that, Ari, this case infuriates many Canadians. What is it about Paul Bernardo that people have such a fascination and a hatred towards?
Raping 14 women, killing somebody within his family, the serial killer nature of it, the poster boy Ted Bundy-like looks of him. This was back before the age of anti-social media. He's become synonym for monster or boogeyman. But Canadians should be frustrated with a number of things that they're not frustrated enough with. One, the fact that they're told their right to know is at the bottom of the bus to Bernardo's right to privacy. Again, that's ridiculous. And if you're upset that he gets to drag the families for parole hearings every 2 years, which you should be, it's a terrible toll on the families.
Do you think he'll ever get parole?
I had said a number of years ago when he did horribly at his parole hearing that the chances of him getting parole are the equivalent of me and you flying to the moon tomorrow. I don't think you and I are going to the moon, but when you move somebody from max security to medium, one of the reasons you tend to do that is because you're starting to create the environment where their parole pitch, their appeal for parole starts to take on more heft. Do I think he'll ever get parole? No, but this move doesn't give me confidence in my own answer.
And that was criminal defense attorney Ari Goldkind as he joined Kelly Patello earlier this week on Trending Now. Also happening this week, former U.S. President Donald Trump indicted again. Yes, supporters of former U.S. President Donald Trump were surrounding the courthouse in downtown Miami while Trump made his first appearance on criminal charges this week. Hundreds of journalists from around the world were also on hand at the federal courthouse, as were anti-Trump protesters. Trump left the courthouse after pleading not guilty to federal criminal charges that he unlawfully kept national security documents when he left office and then lied to officials who sought to recover them. The 37-count indictment includes violations of the Espionage Act, which could carry a maximum sentence of 20 years in prison. Now, Trump's plea, entered before U.S. Magistrate Judge Jonathan Goodman, sets up a legal battle likely to play out over the coming months as he campaigns to win back the presidency in the November 2024 election. And experts say it could be a year or more before a trial even takes place. Now, Trump was allowed to leave court without conditions or travel restrictions. No cash bond was required, but he is not allowed to communicate with potential witnesses in the case, which is weird considering that his co-defendant is his assistant and traveled back with him on the flight and then went to a Cuban restaurant with Donald Trump as well, where Donald Trump walked into the restaurant, said food for everyone, was there for 10 minutes, and believe it or not, left without buying food for anyone. Miami newspaper has that story that he said food for everyone and then left without picking up anybody's bill. Not surprising. Meanwhile, Trump is the first current or former president to face criminal charges, and this is the second criminal case he is facing as he seeks to reclaim the White House. In April, he pleaded not guilty to charges in New York stemming from a hush money payment to porn star Stormy Daniels. Meanwhile, Trump has repeatedly proclaimed his innocence in both cases and accuses current U.S. President Joe Biden's administration of targeting him.
threatening me with 400 years in prison for possessing my own presidential papers, which just about every other president has done, is one of the most outrageous and vicious legal theories ever put forward in an American court of law. And by the way, I will tell you, I'm here, and I love you all, and we can take it. But what these thugs have done to my family is a disgrace.
If you want to know how Donald Trump feels about it, you can check him out on Truth Social. He is very calm and very, level-headed about this whole thing, as based on his Truth Social profile. A bit of a lighter note: Pat Sajak from Wheel of Fortune is calling it a career. He says he's retiring after the next season of Wheel of Fortune, wrapping up a remarkable career in television. He even set a Guinness World Record for the longest career as a game show host of the same show. He took to Twitter to say, "Well, the time has come. I've decided that our 41st season, which begins in September, will be my last. It's been a wonderful ride, and I'll have more to say in the coming months. Many thanks to you all." Then put in brackets, "If nothing else, it'll keep the clickbait sites busy." Now, the lighthearted, family-friendly show has been massively successful over the year, filled with plenty of great moments from Pat Sajak and Vanna White. And the show even turning into a family affair a few years back when Sajak took some time off for surgery, as Maggie Sajak was the guest letter turner during that time, as White stepped in for Pat as host, and Maggie is now the show's social correspondent. Now, Sajak and White have hinted in the past they are a duo and would likely retire together, but no word yet if White will leave the show after next season 2. Now, TMZ was the first to report that Ryan Seacrest has been in touch with Sony about the job, while co-host of The View and Oscar winner Whoopi Goldberg and ESPN host Stephen A. Smith have also expressed interest publicly in the job. To discuss this further, and many other subjects of the week, is the host of Trending Now. It's Kelly Patello. Kelly, what's up?
Hey, Louie.
How's it going? I'm in a Friday mood. Manisa got me in a Friday mood. Did you hear it? Like, it's a Friday mood out there.
Oh, hell yeah.
Like, there's a sweet paradise set out to Selena Drapal, who's going to be on the show next week. Confirmed.
Really?
Selena Drapal. She begged to be on the show today. I said, "Selena, it's okay." And then she bribed me with a peanut butter chocolate brownie.
And that's how she got you.
And so she's going to be on the show next week. She's going to lead off the show. She might be here the whole time.
I love that.
She might co-host. I know, me too. I'm really excited. I'm sure she'll be really excited when she finds out as well. Pat Sajak calling it a career. Could you do the same job for 41 years?
Oh, man. I guess Wheel of Fortune is fun.
You would think so.
It's not like serious or like daunting, and if you're in news, it's like really heavy a lot of the times.
Really heavy a lot of the times.
But Wheel of Fortune is never heavy. It's always fun, lighthearted.
They do like 10 shows in a day, right? Because you figure shows are like 2 hours. So but you only work for like 3 months out of the year.
Yeah, I heard that's how they work. And I mean, they get paid lots of money.
Oh, absolutely. So, I mean, we're closer than the average person to what Pat Sajak does, right? Like, we can joke about, but no, I mean, like, then the average person, like, who's not on TV,
yes,
like, we're on TV,
guess,
right? You know what I'm trying to say?
Yeah.
Like, we're on TV. Like we'd have a better shot than somebody who's working in an office right now for a job like this.
That's true, I guess.
Would you do not a talk show? Would you do a game show? Like, if CH approached you, "Hey, Kelly, we got this idea for a game show. We're looking for a host. Would you want to audition?"
I wouldn't say no, but I do think it's kind of a hard pivot, especially when you do a lot of news stories a lot.
Yeah.
Like, you kind of have to, adapt your personality to be more light and fun and airy.
That's the part I think I'd have like trouble with.
Really?
Is being like that all the time.
Yeah.
Like, I can do that. Like, I can, "Hey,
occasionally.
what's up?" Like, "Okay, let's play."
Yeah.
But like, even this, like the smiling, that like, that's the part where it'd be like, okay.
Mm-hmm.
Like, because I've been caught like camera face. Like, do you know this? Like,
no.
Camera face. So if you're in boxes, so if you see a shot of two people on TV and you think you're off, but you're still on, and you drop your face right away. So it's been like, oh, you dropped camera face a little too quickly there. And I've seen it where it's been like, "Yeah, thanks so much. And then you just drop it.
Deflate.
Well, it's a deflation because there is like an element of like, okay, I have to be on for this job.
Yeah, of course.
And like for Pat Sajak, like he'd have to be on all the time. Like he wouldn't be able to have a bad day.
Absolutely not. You have to be fun all the time. And especially if you're saying, like, I heard also that they film like multiple episodes in a day.
Yeah.
That's a really long day of a lot of fun and energy
and like, yeah, let's go. And like, I'm sure some people smell. Like, you're telling me everybody who comes in here is perfectly like, do you think that's a condition? Like, make sure you shower before you go. Like, you would think. But I'm sure there's some people, for how many people come on that show. I'm pretty sure Wheel of Fortune has given out more money than any other game show in history. Because if you win a prize, you win. Like if you win your puzzle, Jeopardy, first place, you win what you won. I think second place is like $5,000, no matter how much you won. And then third place is $1,000. Like, but Wheel of Fortune, like if you win 3 turns around and you win $12,000, but you didn't win the whole thing, you still get that $12,000.
That's awesome. Yeah.
I know a lot about Wheel of Fortune.
Wow.
It was my go-to. It was my go. Like I grew up watching it. Like I
could picture you. Like I think like Vanna White's job would be
for me.
Yeah.
Oh, really?
I think you could fill in for Vanna White.
Just pressing the buttons.
Yeah.
Again, that's a lot of like.
But I think it would be a little bit easier than doing what a host does, because it's not as much talking.
I feel like my boss is listening to this right now and being like, well, I'm never going to get Louie to host a game show.
No, just kidding. We love game shows.
Yeah, no, any opportunity, Cal Roman, if you're listening, please turn to the camera here on this podcast.
We can do game shows, all right?
We were joking about this in the canteen. I mean, we were talking about it in the canteen today. I mentioned Trump being indicted 8 years ago. Trump came down that golden escalator and announced that he was running for president.
Was it 8 years already?
8 years ago. Now he's running for president again. I mean, we've talked about this, about like unprecedented, like never been done before. Yeah. It almost feels old that like we've been through this, but like we haven't been. Like he's just been around. He's just been the subject. And the fact that he's leading the polls by 31% for the Republican nomination, despite all this going on. Like, what do you make of, as a journalist, as somebody who follows the news, like, how can we explain this to people?
I think it's really hard to explain what the phenomenon of Donald Trump.
Yeah.
And I was, I've talked to multiple experts, political experts.
I mean, it feels like at least twice a week we're talking Trump now.
Absolutely. And what I gather is that, the people who are on the fence, Republicans who are on the fence, probably are not going to throw their support behind Donald Trump anymore. But he has like a core of hardcore mega supporters where he could essentially do whatever he wants and they would still support him. Yeah. So it will be interesting to see how these next few months pan out with all the court proceedings. But, I mean, he's on top. So what are you going to do?
It's hard. We deal with politicians all the time. He's not that. He's not a politician. Like, we get politicians who don't give in. I mean, he is. He's been the president.
Just
he's
the
running for president.
The former president of the
U.S.
But
like, he's not a politician. Like, you and I talk to politicians all the time in our job. Yeah. And they're evasive, and they hold things back. This guy doesn't have that filter.
That's his appeal, I think. And I think that's what makes him seem so, I don't want to say down to earth, but like,
and that's the thing, he's not down to earth.
Yeah, more approachable or average, I think, is because he doesn't have a filter and he'll say whatever he feels like saying. And I think a lot of people appreciate that because we are used to politicians who dodge questions and use big words and speak to, a certain kind of voter all the time. And Trump kind of threw that all away. And I think that's part of his appeal. Certainly... It makes
it makes sense. Like my thing is like everybody. He's an everyday man. He's a guy you'd go get a beer with. Donald Trump would never, ever. First of all, he doesn't drink. I know that because his brother was an alcoholic and he doesn't drink, which
kudos to him. Yeah.
But like he would never, ever, like I mentioned him saying like food's on me when he went to that Cuban restaurant and then stiff the bill. Like he's cheap and he's a liar. And like those two combinations don't go well. Like he's never going to get a beer with you. Like, I'm sorry. Like he doesn't know what people are going through.
Well,
because he's so rich.
We
he's
can't
so
forget
rich.
that he grew up rich his whole entire life. So he may speak like an average everyday person and especially target those people when it comes to his political style. But he's far from the average kind of person. He grew up very privileged. So
very privileged indeed. Kelly, thanks for doing this. I know it's been a busy week. I say that every week, but all these papers confirm it's been a busy week. So thank you.
Thank you.
Awesome. Okay, you're good to go.
Sweet.
All right, I got one more little outro here, and then I'll be all done. Thanks, Kelly. I know, right? And my thanks to Kelly Patello for joining me today. And before we go, I do want to get to a story that's a little bit personal for me for a couple of reasons, but it was a story that was trending now. And that is that Bell is cutting 3% of its workforce, about 1,300 positions, closing 6 radio stations and selling 3 others as the company plans to significantly adapt how it delivers the news. Now, the jobs eliminated include 6% cut at Bell Media. Now, Bell says the job cuts are in response to what it calls unfavorable public policy and regulatory conditions that it can no longer outweight. Its new plan entails moving to a single newsroom approach across all of its brands. What are all of its brands, you may ask? Well, Bell Media owns CP24. Bell Media owns CTV News Network. Bell Media owns every local CTV station you watch. CTV Barrie, CTV Northern Ontario, CTV Toronto, CFTO. So they want to move to a single newsroom approach across all of its brands. Meanwhile, employees were informed that Winnipeg's Funny 1290, Calgary's Funny 1060, Edmonton's TSN 1260 Radio, Vancouver's BNN Bloomberg Radio 1410 and 1040 Funny, along with London's News Talk 1290 CJBK would shutter. Now, a couple reasons this is personal. One, London's News Talk 1290 CJBK was the first ever radio station and the first ever time I was paid to read the news. I was a news intern in St. Catharines at the time, and there was an emergency. And the first time I ever turned on a microphone and said, here's the news, was with 1290 CJBK. So that's one reason this is personal. Another reason, I was once a casualty of Bell Media layoffs after Bell Media is also selling, by the way, Hamilton's AM Radio 1150 and AM 820, 2 radio stations that, again, are very near and dear to me. I was a host on 1150 here in Hamilton, the old CKOC. I did news on AM 820 as well, which was the old Funny station. They're also selling Windsor's AM 580. And a third reason this is all personal is because I have friends who still work in the industry, and I'm in the industry. So a lot of friends at Edmonton's TSN 1260 radio that I've worked with over the years lost their jobs this week. And they eliminated 1,300 positions. Now they say about 600 of those are positions that they're just not going to fill. The rest of them are people who, like me in the past, went to work, were told maybe to come in a bit earlier than they were scheduled, and we're told that they no longer have a job with Bell Media. Now, management positions are also being slashed by 6% as well, according to the company, and there will be 20% fewer executive roles at Bell compared to 2020. Again, this story obviously stuck out to me for many reasons this week. That's why I'm spending so much time on it. It's near and dear to my heart, and just thinking of everybody that I know, everybody that I don't know, that lost their jobs this week as part of these cuts. And again, for me, this is deeply, deeply personal. News Talk 1290, I've been on that station. Edmonton's TSN 1260, I've been a guest on that station. 1290, I mentioned Winnipeg's Funny 1290. That actually used to be a sports station back in the day. Hamilton's AM 1150, which I think is Bloomberg Radio now. That used to be a sports station. It's not like there's any sports in Hamilton. There's a lot of sports in Hamilton. We're talking about it. But because $745 million of profits last year just weren't enough, Bell Bell had to make some decisions to close it out. So to end the show, shout out to all those people who just got that horrible call or that horrible meeting this week. I would like to say that better times are ahead on the media landscape when it comes to Bell, but just not sure if that's true. Hate to end the week on a downer, but yeah, that's where we're at. Thanks for checking us out. Make sure to like and subscribe so you never miss an episode of this show or any other shows we may one day have for you here on CHCH. And make sure to check out Trending Now every Monday to Friday, 7 p.m. and again at 11:30 on chch.com, excuse me, and on our Trending Now YouTube page. Hope you have a great weekend. From all of us here at CHCH, I'm Louie Butko. Take care.